My story begins before I was even born, with a midwife prediction. In Afghanistan, a local midwife gazed at my mother's pregnant belly and confidently declared, "It's a boy." In a culture where sons are often more valued than daughters, this proclamation was met with joy and anticipation. But life had other plans. I arrived, a girl in a world prepared for a boy. Rather than disappoint expectation or waste the lovingly prepared boy's clothes, my parents made a decision that shaped my entire life. They chose to raise me as a boy. Therefore, for 17 years, I navigated two identities. In Afghanistan, where I grew up, life for men and women is divided by a rigid line, with distinct expectations, rules, and freedoms. Growing up as a boy in such an environment was both profound and complex. It meant navigating a world shaped by cultural traditions, social pressures, and a clear separation between male and female spaces. This experience deeply influenced my understanding of identity, gender roles, and the limitation placed on both men and women in a traditional society. As a boy, I could roam the streets freely. As a girl, I had to stay home. As a boy, I could work alongside my father in his shop. As a girl, I would have been restricted to domestic duties. As a boy, I was allowed to laugh, run, and play in public spaces. As a girl, I would have been instructed to act modestly and avoid drawing attention. Every day, I lived the reality of male privilege, but it came with a deep contradiction. The freedom I enjoyed felt more like a borrowed fragment of a role I had to play rather than genuine reflection of who I was. My strength and my voice was in public were performances for that world that demanded conformity to a rigid male facade. The freedom I was given was not truly mine. It was granted to the boy I was expected to be. In private, I grappled with the weight of this expectation, feeling trapped between the demand for my public identity and the suppressed reality of my inner self. This dual existence was a constant reminder that the privilege afforded to me were fragile and conditional, leaving me in a cycle of outward confidence and inward struggle. This daily contradiction shaped my understanding of gender in a profound ways. It showed me how society elevates boys and diminishes girls, how it empowers men and limits women. Most importantly, this daily contradiction triggered within me a burning desire of freedom. Not the borrowed type, but the genuine one for my own feminine self. As this yearning for freedom intensified, it became my greatest strength and asset. A resilience that fortified every choice I made to reclaim my identity. This strength was a constant, even in the face of a world determined to suppress it. It was the power to defy limitation, to redefine boundaries, and ultimately to honor my authentic self. The first decision toward dealing with the inner conflict and toward reclaiming my authentic self was contrary to what one might assume. As a teenager, I have decided to fully embrace and adapt to a male identity. This choice, though unreasonable, marked the beginning of my journey towards self-discovery. I had to fight and challenge other boys to prove my strength, and at the same time, I made many male friends. However, my true self recognized that this wasn't a sustainable decision. As my body began to change, I got my first period, and my breasts began to grow. This internal conflict became difficult to ignore. I made a drastic move. I ran away from home, seeking a space from the confusion I felt. As a second decision, I decided to fully embrace my girl identity. I was 17. It took time, and I started to practice wearing burqa. In Afghanistan, we call it chadari. Chadari is a traditional garment worn by many women in Afghanistan. It covers the body from head to toe, leaving only a mesh screen or a small opening for the eyes. The garment is usually made of a thick, often dark color fabric. Wearing chadari wasn't easy. With chadari, I felt countless times. Meanwhile, I wasn't used to house chores. I only knew how to deal with affairs for boys. I had to learn how to cook, clean, and wash to practice traditional female tasks in Afghanistan. This dramatic shift from experiencing freedom to suddenly facing extreme restriction was overwhelming and unbearable. It pushed me to my limits, plunging me into the darkest chapter of my life. I was struggling to cope with the drastic changes. I found myself overwhelmed and even attempted suicide. As a third pivotal decision for taking control of my life, I focused on self-empowerment. I worked hard to develop my skills and abilities, to achieve financial independence and support my siblings' education. However, as a young single woman, I faced barriers to professional advancement, which highlights the challenges women often face in Afghanistan. Determined to define my own path, I confidently embraced my femininity and refused to marry my cousin, whom my family suggested. Instead, I proposed to the man who became father of my kids. This decision was a turning point, allowing me to shape my future on my own terms and challenge traditional and social expectations. Leaving Afghanistan was another drastic decision. I left behind my family, my friends, and career to move to Europe, hoping to find better and more convenient life. But it was far from what I had envisioned. Just after arriving here, I understood that all I had learned and practiced was far from enough. I had to learn a new language, a new way of life, and adapt to new norms. I had to rebuild my life from scratch in a society with different challenges. My previous experiences and all resistance helped me to adapt to the situation. Today, I'm focused on helping refugee women to facilitate their integration journey, ensuring they have support and opportunity to make their own decision. I advocate to break down the barriers that limit women's choices so they can rebuild their lives with autonomy and dignity. To me, decision-making is a profound act of resistance. My journey towards finding my authentic self taught me that the act of choosing, no matter how difficult or risky, is the ultimate form of empowerment. I believe that even when the world tries to take our choices, we should keep in mind that our power lies within the decision we make. Whether we are pursuing a career, ending a relationship, or simply asserting our identity, each decision is a powerful step toward reclaiming our life. I hope my story serves as a testament to the power of trusting in your needs and making decisions to follow them, even when the world tries to limit you.